D&D, your next NPC, Enkindle. This is one of my favorite NPCs. I've used her in more than one game. Her name is Enkindle, and she is in fact a red dragon. Now, she's a red dragon that masquerades in human form. We found her in Baldur's Gate. We found her in Bone Rust, a town about 4 days outside of Baldur's Gate that boomed in population due to Mayor Sean Tilton and his men of good renown. Yes, and the renown for those men was gooder than hell, as many have known at all times, and their opulence was in their own minds. So, who is she? Why should you care? And why should you interject her into the DNA of your next RPG, fantasy style? Hell, she could even be used in a modern day game. She basically works as a sort of a doppelganger, entity. She appears as a person, probably a wizard, a sorcerer, a priestess, something such as that. And to a degree, she's all of those things as well as a red dragon. She appears as a beautiful, voluptuous, sumptuous, hipsome, red-headed girl. Easy enough to imagine as a red dragon. I have used over the course of my games more than one picture for her. I have a wonderful disc of all these pictures of my characters of games, and I don't have a disk drive. Those don't seem to come standard on computers anymore. And I sure as hell I'm not going to pay whatever, any amount of money really, to get them. I need to have my players rip those off so I can get those on my computer. So I have used more than one, and I'll probably use the image I used from the last game, from the Bone Rust game, Forgotten Realms, in the Shadows of Baldur's Gate. This is a different game that I'm currently running, which is Planescape. This one we do with sort of a loosened down, because I said newer players, a loosened down version of 3.5 rules to make it more accessible, quicker, and easier for newer players to learn. And frankly, a lot of 3.5 rules are just completely unneeded for for any reason really, outside of desire to power game. So you can either have her established in the town or city, or she can arrive, and her arrival should itself be a spectacle. It should be a spectacular thing with carriages, the finest horses, so forth. You may even, as I did, as she comes in, get one of the player characters who's a blacksmith to work on portions of her house. And she brings in a huge entourage of dwarfs who are stonemasons, who seem to be sworn to secrecy, and they're building, along with some additional magical aids, they're building this house for her. 3 buildings, a huge stone wall around it, and it sits right on the northern bank of the Winding Waters River. The dwarven blacksmith built this 14 foot wide, 12 foot high gate, iron gate, to go around the front of the building. So that gave him an instant reason. She needs a blacksmith. There's one right here. We have him. And there was another blacksmith in town, which is like his rival, but she went with him when a lot of other people had gone with the elven blacksmith, Franz Filigree. Fantastic man, Franz Filigree. Really just a great fellow. She went with Durclad, this dwarf. But see, the dwarf, he had some Aesir blood in him. So he was touched with the blood of the fire plane elemental. This is going to be very appealing to a dragon of the red variety. And she allowed an open platform in sort of a quest giver variety. When your quest giver isn't nice old Gandalf or someone like that, right? The players start to suspect she's something other than she appears to be, this hot, red-haired woman, right? She's beautiful. But she also has an entourage with her, right? She has an entourage. So she has her humanoid familiar, in this case as being a hobbit. And that allowed me to work in with one of the players who's playing a hobbit. My son's character is a hobbit in the game. I don't call them halflings, they're hobbits. Halfling is just a name that they had to be forced to take because they got sued. GRA Tolkien Estate ain't suing me. So I'm going to call them what they are. They're hobbits. And she has several other dragons with her. And so we have this dragon draconic council that is meeting with her on occasion, and they come wandering through the streets. And the place of Bone Rust itself is sort of like a Wild West, sort of styled slightly off a Dungeons and Dragons-esque version of Deadwood. So it's a scrummy town. It's scrum bums. But Monsieur Marishan Tilt's trying to push it up. But you could just easily put her in Waterdeep or in Baldur's Gate. I did have her in Baldur's Gate at a time, appearing to be some sort of sorceress, wizardress, what have you. and she is those things. So in character design, class-wise, in a 3.5 system, I designed her as a wizard sorcerer with the, what is it called? Eldritch, whatever. The prestige class that combines both levels of sorcerer and wizard and just brings you down. She has a lot of spells, a lot of spell power. And she has a horde, right? So her trove, a couple of the players actually, at least David. I know David, who's playing Durklad, who she starts really like, oh, this could be a minion for me. And the player becomes a minion of a dragon, right? Typically the players in a Dungeons & Dragons game are slaying dragons. And all we really have is the really high end, you see some dragons. I said, you know what? In this game, we're finna do dragons, son. Why wouldn't we? It's Dungeons & Dragons. So they're dragons just walking about on the street, but they're disguised. They're appear as people. In my game, and this is a rule I strongly suggest you should steal from me, I make every dragon have a form. They have a form of a humanoid that they have imprinted on. Not an exact person. They don't like look at a person and copy them, but they take that image. So then one might be an aquatic elf, another might be a human, but they're the same person. Like Inkindle always looks like Inkindle in her human form, so she gets used to it. But at the same point, she's used to actually being a dragon, so she'll do things like this, like the because she's tasting the air with her tongue. She's acting in a way and smelling as dragons do because the senses of a dragon are different. But she's in her human body and she's still trying to do things because she's going to be clunky. You don't polymorph and all that changes. You're still what you are and you're trying to do the things that you would do. And it looks fucking weird as shit. But, well, she is rich as hell and very, very, very powerful. Now, dragons fucking hate to give up their treasure. So it was a really interesting thing. How do we have her go about paying for goods and services? She's going to need to pay for goods and services to have this area built up for her, which she's going to, of course, begin to lay down enchantments and lay down magic. She's a wizard. She's a sorcerer. And she has two things that need to be built immediately, and she's able to reward the players later for doing things. And it allows me to get the players into some things that might be a little off center, a little off kilter, right? And they're able to go and do this and do that because I could have her send them on a couple of quests. We dress it up, we make it a little bit better than that. But that's essentially stripped down to the bone from a bad game master, the way it would be done, right? But we're going to add to it, we're going to embellish it, we're going to bring more detail into it, and they're going to be doing things for her. Not that they exclusively just work for her. She's just, hey, no, do these things, and she's giving them some stuff, right? Anything she's giving them is super hard for her, and it's pissing her off at them. So I have to play that beyond like 86 veils. So her attitude is changing, and she's a very different outlook on the player characters. And this should give you some idea of the psychology of the character. So I'm going to kind of walk you through what happens in my game. So we have the very first. This happens in session 2. So they go off to investigate this thing. They find this ancient temple. The temple collapses. That's a temple of Lathander, and it's out in the woods, and it's been overrun, and there's bandits and so forth. And it's a crumbling, ancient, and a derelict, forgotten temple. And the floor falls out of it, and they fall into this basically dungeon complex, and they end up fighting against a baby green dragon. And it's just like maybe 9-10 foot long, something like that, maybe a little more than that. And they kill it, right? They fight it and kill it. And not to go through that, because that was a wonderful scene. The tiny, like it's assembled the treasure it can, but this treasure's bitch ass. Like it has some like really nice looking rocks in there, and fucking like, oh, look at this luxurious feather. Just anything that it could have gotten a hold of in its kobold minions, it's already beginning to push itself up as a god on, because the green dragon, why not? Why not? Well, they skin it. Of course, players are going to skin it, right? It's got this fucking poison. And I'm making them make extra poison saves, and they're all fucked up by the time because they have to skin, which takes an enormous amount of time. And they have the correct skills to do it, right? But they skin a green dragon, baby green dragon, and they make armor out of it. And that's a whole thing. And it takes many, between the time they got it to the session where they finally had armor out of it, tons of time. It was a great thing. And the player, who was Austin, Austin the bird donk, he got this green dragon armor. Well, okay, so there's a catch-22 to it. The dragons can see exactly what that is. Not only that that's dragon armor, but that's from a fucking baby. So imagine like if you were walking around and somebody's like, yeah, I'm a badass, look at me, is my cloak cut out of sewn babies. I cut the skin off and sewed it together. I'm a fucking sick freak. Like you would be like, oh, here, cool. So there was this constant element of tension where Austin several times nearly lost his character because they weren't like a challenge rating. This It's just that there's no what the fucking point of even rolling dice. The level of potency from the multiple dragons that are getting angry, and she's behind the scenes. So things happen when your players aren't there. Things have to happen. So she's dealing with Sam Semio, blue friends, and we're going to talk about him in another video. But if you want to see the dragon portrayed by Macho Man Randy Savage, let me know in the comments below and give a like for Macho Man Randy Savage. Yeah, that's right. Snap into it, and we're gonna talk like this the whole video. Yes, we will. We've done it for an hour and a half in a role-playing game. Yeah, just, yeah, right. So, yeah. So, anyway, we have this as her friend. Right, they're together, and she's essentially trying to set her up as the queen of the dragons in the area, and she's trying to force metallic dragons to kind of get and bend the knee to her as well. And then the party, we get into some situations with that where they really just have to wreck shop on a dragon. And I always really tried to dig in there. You're playing a dragon, it hates to give away. It hates to give away a copper piece. It hates to give away anything. But so the way I looked at her mind, she has her hoard, and then she has her expenses. And her expenses can't come out of her hoard. It's other shit that she's like, okay, I have this shit over here. These are my trade goods, and some of it's fucking platinum or gold or magic items or whatever. And she really is doing everything she can not to look at it, not to think about it, not to dwell on the fact I can just take this, put it over here, because she knows she has to do something. She knows she has to work with this system. She doesn't want, not that she could care really about enslaving things, but she knows that's not the way it's ultimately going to push best for her. So she's working as strong as she can against her own self, against her own inner red dragon nature, to create a life for her that she's going to enjoy. She likes being around people. She likes humans. She likes elves. She likes dwarves. She likes their short lives. She finds them interesting. She finds them fascinating, and she's very active. She's not a dragon that's going and sleeping for long periods of time. I think I had her on the older side of adult, but I also added all these class levels on top of that to the dragon, which you well should do. Dragons are supposed to be super fucking powerful, and it's a great way to interact with them. So she's interacting with them as she's a human, but she's also a wizard and a sorcerer. So she has that power of the magic in her blood, which also comes through. So that gives her another point to speak about. But her hoard is essentially this building. There's 3 buildings on the property. 2 are normal buildings, and the property itself is great. When the warmer months, she has all these flowers from exotic locations, roses, and all kinds of things on the property. And she has tons and tons of butterflies that just fly around. They're pollinating the different plants and so forth. And you can see she's literally like greenhouse raising these things. This is a hobby of hers. She wants to get it, she loves botany. She loves these sort of things. And that was a tie-in for the druid character, right? So she's able to supply the druid with the means to create herself what became Big Town, where there was a grow up, the population comes in, the call's been put out, free land, come get land, do what you need to do, to Baldur's Gate and other large overpopulated places, Waterdeep, all kinds of places. People have come here, humans, half-orcs, all types of people, even some more dwarves, where it starts building up, and a new sort of small sort of slum town, big town comes up, and Inkindle starts funding some things in there, again, from this portion that she hates to have to do, and she hates doing this. This could be part of her hoard, but it's not. She's carefully segregated out. So that's the psychology. No, everything is mine. And she knows that. But what if instead she had a whole fucking city here that was completely under her thumb, and she likes the feel of that. She likes to be the powerful, represented wizardess that can do anything she wants, will have no one question anything she does, to have these subjects just in awe of her, to be the mega it girl, and to be revered as this beyond royalty sort of aspect to people. Imagine the most beautiful girl, the royalty, the wizardry, the respect for the mind, the fear for the power, the lust for the beauty, having all that just adulation on you at all times. Ooh, she likes this. She likes these lesser lived species and how they come about, and she's fine with it. She likes it. So she has her vision. She wants to build it. It's fucking killing her to do these things, to make these deals, to have to send them as an envoy to a brass dragon and say, look, give it these things and tell it will give me this thing I want out of its hoard, or it's dead. they still don't know. They started to know she was a dragon before they knew she was a dragon. Like, it starts to be built up. She has kobolds and other entities that she has elsewhere using to work for help for. So I have like also like find like this fucking group of kobolds like under shadow of night and bringing this fucking wagon, which of course is a wagon of more plunder and treasure that Enkindle's having brought in. And Enkindle, something that drives me absolutely nuts about dragons, and I'm going to look at the 3.5 Monster Manual, a fantastic book that we do give the kudos and the Barbarian Horde seal of approval. But we're going to look at the red dragon here, and here it is. The last word here is alignment. Alignment, right there. Yeah, right there. So that shows a green dragon, but this is the first start of red dragon. Alignment. Always chaotic evil. Well, that's nonsense. Dragons are what I call super sapient individuals. I fuck all these stats. I make a dragon. They're smarter than people. Dragons are like, I mean, most dragons, you're going to have some that are off, right? But most of them, I would say dragon intelligence starts at 18, 19. That's where it starts. And it just keeps going up. Dragons are incredibly intelligent. They are the thing of legend itself. They are the thing, they're the only monster in the name of the game. They're the zenith, they're the top, and they should be badass. They should be wizards. They should be powerful. They should be political players. And again, she has her agendas. She's trying to become the most powerful dragon in the world, but she's trying to do it piece by piece, trying to create herself a small and growing army, trying to subsume these areas. Again, she's active in Baldur's Gate. She's active in this new town. She's pulling more people, and her plan is to build her banner up and up and up and up and up until she can begin to dictate, to put pressure. And she's building this relationship with other dragons, some friendly, some less than friendly. But she sees value in chromatic. She sees value in metallic. She sees value in gem dragons. She sees value in any type of dragon or draconic type thing. So she's pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and working all of these political angles. So she's a political animal. She is active. She is appearing to be a human. She is loving the politics of humanity, of getting people to do her bidding. She's a wizard. She's a sorcerer. She has enchantment magics and so forth. Her alignment is lawful evil. And she's not lawful evil. She's lawful evil. Right? She's not that evil. She's evil. She is self-interested. She's manipulative. She causes issues, and she'll drop that strong thug hand on you. But she's not like a fucking devil, right? She is out for her own interest, but she also does have the capacity to actually care about things. She has some small degree of compassion in her heart. She has some small degree of interest in the things around her that she likes. So she's not of a brutal cast of that nature, but she is out for her agenda. She's out for her plans. She's manipulative. She's a plotter, and she's a deep planner with centuries and centuries to spare to get what she wants to get. And she provided a very, very interesting point to interact with the characters in that fashion where she can be a teacher, right? I make players in any edition of D&D, you have to roll to learn spells. You have to have access to spell books. You have to have access to scrolls, these sort of things, right? Well, she's not going to give you a scroll which you're going to burn up, but she might let you look at some of the many, many spell books she's captured over the years. After all, she's a dragon. And there have been many who, in previous incarnations of herself, sought to come to her cavern and so forth. She's like, this is kind of stupid. Why don't I be more like them? Or at least make them think I am. So, her hoard, right? The big building. The big building is her hoard. It's her home. Her home is her hoard. Her hoard's a home. That's what it is. Now, she's very powerful, and she's created inside of it a space. It in of itself is a locational area, maybe even transdimensionally, you might say. The inner of the space is larger than the exterior would allow for. And that slowly starts to become obvious on somebody that's in there to provide them with this more creeping sense. And she's designed initially to seem powerful, strong, but ultimately, she's probably benevolent. She may even be in the good alignment spectrum. She's not. She's not. But she's very orderly. She has her plans together. She's lawful evil. Maybe even lawful neutral. She, next thing she does in town, Well, let me talk about our horde first. I'll dance around this a little bit. So we come in here, and imagine a museum, something that looks like a museum and a home. Imagine if you took a huge estate and turned it into a museum, and you go through and you see, bas reliefs, and you see pedestals that have war hammers, look like they've been used, like they may even be magical, and shields that are dented and they burn with fire. And there's tapestries, and there's helmets, and there's like broken chainmail, and there's weird things mixed in, like, because she's taking these off the bodies of people that she's killed and maybe eaten, and they've disrespected her. So these are her trophies. These are her things. Um, Probably the first ever gold coin she ever got is just sitting there in like a little case, right? So we have cases, we have all these sort of things that you would see from a scholar, a wizard, an antiquarian, but it's this woman who is a dragon, and this is her horde. And those that are lucky enough to be able to come through her home, her horde, get to see some of these things. Of course, they are being watched with an incredible eye, but it allows you to introduce them to a strange, beautiful, and fantastic location that is just the type of thing in Dungeons and Dragons you should be doing. Give them that magic, and boom! Give them those NPCs that are epic and rock them, and they remember 30, 40, 50, 100 years from now. When they did, it's like, I don't remember nothing. Enkindle's gooder than a mug. You see how I'm saying? They land on a deathbed. They know what the fuck was up. Um, so And then there's libraries, right? Because the library's part of her hoard, because she has all these magic tomes that she's taken from necromancers, invokers, enchanters, illusionists, and these clerical texts as well. These Bibles for followers of Cyric or Torm or fucking Corellian or fucking Lolth. She don't give a fuck. Give me that shit. That's magic. That's status. Those are the sort of things that she wants to display. Yes, I took these. I have these. I acquired them. Maybe she even traded for them. Ugh, trade is hard, but sometimes if you can make a better deal, I mean, even a dragon will probably give you 2 gold pieces for 20, right? So, particularly if there's a better story with the 20. So, that being said, they'd be like, God, 2 gold pieces. They would stick on like 2 gold pieces. Though. What about that? And they might come and murder you to get those 2 gold pieces back. Like it might happen. There's a very real chance of that. Unless you seem to have enough strength that maybe it's not worth it. But still, what about them 2 gold pieces though? So you got to play that, right? Dragons are extremely avaricious. That's their very nature. So you got to put that in there. But that doesn't mean I can't do this. I can't and I don't like it aren't the same thing, and I don't like it works really well because it can spin off in other directions. So I mean, imagine this. A tomb. The library is her hoard for all of her scrolls, all of her text, and not just magic. I use I don't give clerics every spell. I use a Bible system for them. They have prayers to say, just like a wizard has to learn spells. They have to as well, and that gives you a flavor and a taint if you've learned them from different gods. So it makes it a really interesting thing, and you can put that backstory. And not just that, when you're looking at it, I can go, actually, this is fucking Marcus Macunian of fucking goddamn Shadowdale, and this is Timoth Ugandan of of Athkatla. Right, so we can put that in there, and we can put their notes, and there's a little side journal, like you got your text, right? But it's all written in there in hand and their calligraphy, and they've written little side notes in there. And today I had the shits 3 times. He's like, what the fuck? I didn't need to know all that about you, Timothy. But now I do know you had the shits 3 times 11 years, 3 days ago, in fact. It's just mine. So you can bring all those sort of details in and add that rich nuance and that flavor, because you can use those histories. You could tell people, particularly if they want to engage in the skills of history and these knowledge local type skills, which are often overlooked and glanced over in games. Fuck that. Lay the gas down for that shit. Let the players really just get in there. Yes, this is it. This is just what I want to do. This is phenomenal, fantastic, and where I need to be going on with this gaming, baby. That's just the way it always needs to be. So I found that a great way to work that in through spell books and things like that. But she's also going to have other things in there: farmer almanac type books, history books of different states, history books of human origin and lines, and they're going to be books in enormous amounts of languages, because she is speaking like 20 languages, bruh. She's speaking them and she's reading them and she don't give a fuck. So that's another great thing, oh, this book, yeah, this one's in Elven, you see this one in Dwarven, you see that, you don't even know what fucking language that is, but it looks kind of interesting, and then you can get into various, different languages and tomes. And another thing I love to mention inside the Horde, how hot everything is. Like, damn, it's warm as fuck. And you'd be like, ooh, it's really, Whew, God damn, it's hot in here. You know, like you're in a sauna. Of course you are. You're hanging out with a red dragon. That's really a fantastic thing. And of course, she has a portal to the plane of fire in there, and eventually that becomes a thing. And one of the players, Durklad, the dwarf with the elemental flame blood in him, he actually gets to go to the plane. To the plane of fire. Why? Because she needs an errand done. She needs him to go and speak with a Jotun, a fire Jotun for her. And dragons and giants don't like each other. They don't like each other at all. But on that flame tip, she's able to maybe get what she wanted done. And it lets Durklad do a whole adventure, a whole solo adventure we did. And he loved it. It was a fantastic game session. He got to see the City of Brass. He got to see Muspelheim and speak with this fucking, because he was a blacksmith. He got to see the blacksmith of the fucking fire giants who was down there, you know, working that gimmick. And he was like, you know, basically shitting on him, like he didn't like doors, but he did something that kind of earned some respect. And he said, okay. And he gives him this little special type of fucking metal of Muspelheim itself. And he gives him that and tells him what to do so he can make his own hammer. And he basically makes his own smithing hammer out of this Muspelheimian fucking special ore, you know, adamantite or whatever you want to call it, right? So it gave him a great story, great way to work in there, and a great thing to do. And he also ran a mission to another red dragon, which I used professional wrestler Ming / Haku to play that dragon, and I made it really. It was really cool. Like I made it sound like this huge thing is coming up, the fucking shadow, and you can see a shadow fall out of the cave as he's there. He's on this magic carpet with this fucking smoke imp, the smoke method, I should say, and the smoke method is like keeps trying to fuck him like constantly, like trying to get him, like he was given rules, you can't do this and this, and the smoke method is trying to get him to do those things so he can kill him, because the smoke method is bound to serve him until he fucks up, and then he can kill him. And he wanted to kill him because he was a dick, and he actually beat the thing, and it was great. It was phenomenal. The smoke method was fun to play. So this dragon comes rushing out, and when it gets to the cave entrance, you can see the shadow, and all of a sudden it's just fucking Ming, the fucking savage Haku, the fucking Tongan himself there, from Darkest Tonga, from the Polynesian Dark Water tribe, and it's like, oh, this guy's scary looking, but what the fuck just happened? You know, because we're mixing in the draconic form, the human form, the elf form, whatever it is, for the dragon. So it produces a great way to use dragons. I strongly recommend doing it. It is phenomenal when you can take that dragon and just place it right there and have an actual conversation. And the dragon might be like going into town and do some political shit on him, but the dragon also might be like, yo, you do what the fuck I tell you. What's up, son? Or the dragon might be more seductive or more, not necessarily kind, but allow them some ability to get what they want out of it. And yeah, and her horde was phenomenal to use, and just her paranoia, but at the same time she loved showing it off, like, and it wasn't a trust, like I trust you. It was like your bitch ass won't take shit from me, or I got you right now. And she wanted to see, and she left him, but he was never ever unwatched, but he kind of thought he was, right? And he's there for days studying text, learning, and you know, she ends up, she's a red dragon, right? So who the red dragon have a deal with? Your main man's favorite race, the Githyanki. So I'm able to bring in this Githyanki smith of impossible talents from the fucking astral seas of limbo and such. And this man, I'm able to bring him in there, and you know, and teach him. That's something Inkindle sets up as basically a payment. She's like, okay, I can trade this and get this guy down here. It doesn't cost me any gold. Brilliant. And she's using the Red Dragon pact on the Githyanki to get the Githyanki to do what she needs to do, because we have this pact set up, of course, with Tiamat. Now, Inkindle is also a follower of Tiamat. She's not a cleric, but she essentially works in a vested priestess capacity of Tiamat. And they don't use the name Tiamat. We constructed what was called the God's Road, and it was an area inside of the proper of the county that they were in. Bone Rust is more of a county than a city. There's so much open air and agrarian cultures, ranching, things of that nature, mining, lumbering. So it's a bunch of different things that kind of come together, and a city basically starts to go around it through certain means, and that's what's attracting to Inkindle. A great place for her to really start up and push. But again, she's acting in other places. She's not just in Bone Rush. She's in Baldur's Gate. She's in other locales as well. She could be in your city right now, working in her plans. She just has this wondrous-looking mansion. Perhaps you see her in social events, at galas, ballroom dancing, as a socialite, as a strange woman who seems to be politically maneuvering with the men and outmaneuvering the men, and raising dander, and then maybe some people disappear who start to slander her name, because that's a fucking bad idea. Because she's got a whole bunch of friends and they got no problem killing your ass. And they are not ECL fucking equatable to you fucking the Baron of booty holes. So you want to play the character with almost as a member of the audience. She's sort of watching humans. She's just sort of delights in humans and dwarves and orcs and fucking goblins, hobbits, all of this stuff. It's fascinating to her. Like, you might go to watch an exotic bird show or dog show or cat show or something like that. She likes them in that fashion. You are not her equal. You are inferior in every possible way conceivable. Physically, mentally, socially, every way you could conceive. You're utterly inferior to her. Like you would look at a dog or cat. It's inferior to you. A gold fucking fish. Doesn't mean you can't enjoy them and like them for what they are, and also see the potential in their numbers, how they might serve you. Because he understands you. You can program and train them. So she actually enjoys these type of things. That doesn't mean somebody couldn't turn up dealt with because of her, or that she might not eventually just, for some reason completely flip out and red dragon on top of you and just fucking breathe fire and just melt you to fucking cinders, right? She could. She doesn't want to do anything like that, though. She wants to be a lady. She wants to be treated like that. She wants to have all that afforded her of human femininity and of regal grace, while still being able to manipulate and work into the typical man role in a fantasy environment as well, and dealing out anyone that's in her way. What the fuck are you going to do to her, dude? She's a dragon. And she presents as a sorceress, as a wizard, as an arcanist, as an occultist. And we have this mysterious religion there. So let me talk a little bit about this. So we have God Street. God Street starts with, there's this temple. I think I had about eight gods. This temple's put up by a druid of Shantea. So, it covers a bunch of different good gods: Shantea, Maleki, Lyra, so forth. As it comes around, we see actual temples built to Sunni, and they're being built. So we're actually watching them being built. Some with magical means that makes it go faster, some with cheaper materials which makes it go faster, and some slow all the way down the bottom, barely getting there. So we have Lathander, we have Sunni, we have Mishra, and God, I gotta give you the high priest of Mishra. You guys are gonna love him. He's got to be in a video himself. Fantastic. And then way down the very bottom with the graveyard and some land that was bought, and the road actually just stretches all the way down here just to accommodate that. We have the Temple of Merkel, which my son was playing a priest of Merkel, and they're like doing the best they can with a scrap of bunch together. And Frank converts to the following faith of Merkel, so they scrape whatever supplies of resources they can together, and they basically build a wooden temple. It's all shitty, and they're doing their best, and then they start attracting other followers of Merkel, like they have like a specter and a vampire. They're helping them out. The vampire, of course, is played by fucking Pete Steele of Typo Negative. He's a fun one to play. I really had a lot of rich characters. Because when I run a game, I'm not about like, you own a treasure and you kill a bunch of fucking orcs or something. Who cares? And you get some treasure. Yeah, fuck that bullshit. No, it's about interactions, about characters, about uniqueness, about interesting. But don't get me wrong, the wheelwright down the street, he had a face claim. He had a voice. He had an interest, and he was the one who built the temple. He was played by Keanu Reeves, and he was the wheelwright of the town. And it's important that a man like a Jordan wood whisperer, a carpenter, a haft maker, a boatman is allowed to be here in the city plying his trade, because I, after all, am going to be making your wood goods. Believe in it. So you bring a character like that and you showcase them and you use them and you make that part of the tablet, part of it. So it's not just, wow, there's these 9 like really powerful, important individuals and everyone else is, no, just work the other people in there, work them in there, have it like a series, like, I'm not powerful at all, I'm first level commoner, but fuck the bullshit, I don't give a damn. Or they might be a really high level commoner and have 17 fucking skill ranks in something, like, make the best barrels, bitch, take out! Got hit points too. What you thought this was? I'm 16th level. Gah, gah, gah. Give a fuck about you. You're second level. I'm a 16th level commoner. I beat the shit out of you, you fucking second level fighter. Give a fuck about you. Um, my BAB is nice. Gah, gah. More than one attack around. So, what you do when a 16th level commoner runs wild on you, brother? So she has this temple that she builds there as well, amongst these other temples. And the temples were great source of roleplay. We have Lathander, we have Merkel, we have Mishra, we have Merkel, we have Sunni, and we have this temple of Morden that's being built. And it's taking forever because the dwarf player really tried to build something nice, and it's taken a long time. He finally got it built. Finally got it built, and it was great. So, you know, so we have these very different personalities fairly close to each other, and there were problems. And the rule on God Street is nothing on God Street can be damaged, attacked. No violence can take place there. No violence can take place upon these temples because these are the temples of the gods, and we do not interfere upon that. We are not going to allow ourselves to suffer the wrath of the gods because of your bitch ass tactics. Get that out of here, and you will be dealt with horrifyingly by the men of good standing. They were nice people. So let's talk about this temple of hers for a little bit. This can be a wonderful thing for you to integrate it. Just again, big barn steel. Take all these characters, plug them right into your game. Tell me what you think about her. Tell me if you'd like to see some more of these videos. So I have a lot of NPCs that I've carefully sifted through in my mind to create these different games. So instead of calling it the Temple of Tiamat, it is the Red Campion Temple, and they have campion flowers growing outside, and then inside the temple. I'm going to try to describe some of the pictures here to you. So we have this group of priestesses, and I tried to get like images so they weren't of the human stock, right? In this area, like is supposed to be like Spain, right? So there's a lot of like Spanish people, and then there's more like of probably like an English sort of stock of people, more in the Baldur's Gate region. Further to the south, you have black people in Cholt. You have in Kalisham, Kalimport, you have like Mediterranean Semitic peoples, and then you have in this temple, I basically bring in these like Babylonian looking people, right, to look just a little bit different, right? They don't quite look like people from Kalimport. They look different. She's brought these people all the way over from Motorandi. And these are people who knew of Tiamat in their own way. And these are followers of Tiamat. And she's brought them in there. And I had pictures, I'm looking at right now, I have pictures of the flowers. These pink flowers are growing all around the outside of it. And a picture of the temple, and then the picture of the inside of the temple, of the high priestess there, of the seal of the temple. And she has a dragon as well that like looks like this enormous fucking white lion. She has like a half dragon creature in there. I'm just looking at the folder I have for pictures. I'm trying to look at the inside. So I showed the inside a picture here. I wish I could put all these pictures up. So the inside is like this stone floor with all these like bizarre looking, like, it just looks like just an evil ass place with like dragon skull like things in there, but they're not actual dragon skulls. It's just like the design and these weird twisted devil like things. Again, we're talking about a temple to something that lives in hell, and that's Enkindle's goddess. Enkindle is a red dragon, a chromatic dragon. They're followers of Tiamat, and this is important. So her faith is represented. There's another temple. There's a temple right out in the open, but the name isn't open, and they don't let other people in there. You essentially have to be part of the secret society to be part of it, and you're invited in. There's no other way around. David's character actually gets to go in, so I get to show off the temple. I get to show off the inside. I get to show off all these other things about it, but none of the other characters ever got to go inside the temple. So it was a really neat deal right there. So, I guess in summation, you want to play the character. She's beautiful, and she knows it. She flaunts that. She'll use her physical attractiveness. She'll use her tremendous magical power. She'll use the fact that she could smash you. She'll use all these sort of tools, and she's sort of aloof, away. She's watching. She's watching everything. not as someone that's paranoid, but almost like someone that loves the zoo, and they're walking around through the zoo like, I really love the zoo, and she's just watching and enjoying the dramas and the tragedies and the nonsense of people's lives. And you know what? I'm going to change that. I'm going to have that guy was winning, but now we're going to have the other guy win. That guy was horrible down on his luck. I'm going to have his family elevated. And that guy looked at me wrong, so break both of his legs and throw him in the gutter. Let him live in his own piss. You know, so that level of power, the ability to just change things. It was almost imagine like someone like playing a Sims game, right? Like the ones where you have like a town. You make a town, and she's sort of the Sims player. She's, oh, let's build over here. Let's invest this way. Let's do this, and she can quickly, with money and magic, both in extreme abundance, kind of create whatever she wants, and bring about things that she finds beautiful and suppress things that she doesn't like. As you're working behind the scenes, and it might be her smashing you over here without you ever even knowing about it. And overall, you know, a creature that was from touched with like a fire genasi might get along real well with her. She might be quite like that. The little tiny, it's like, wow, this one is a tiny bit better than all the rest of it. Shines out. It's interesting to me. I hope its life goes well. I want to see this. I want to watch this. Oh, it's only going to live a few hundred years. It's so sad, but let's just have a look. These are her TV shows. These are the stories she likes to see. But ultimately, she's going to be the queen. Or is she? Ultimately, the decision is yours. Let your man know down in the comments what you think. Your next NPC, D&D, or any fantasy world, baby. Woo, by God.